Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this one I got for you today, this storyline is straight out of Columbus, Ohio. And it has several caveats to it. We're talking about a medium-sized city. We're talking about teenage life and trying to navigate through this crazy world in today's time with so many different external stimuli shooting at our young people today, which can lead to confusion, anxiety, stress. And in this story, this is two young ladies who were best friends. One was 18 and one was 17. And of course, they ended up having a falling out, threatening each other through social media and text messages on what they were going to do to each other once they met up and have a fight. And it did not go well. One of the female teens ended up stabbed and died at the hands of the other teen, which, as I said, they started out as best friends. We have to teach our young people about conflict mediation, resolution, how to resolve problems without it ending in extreme violence, let alone death. There's way too much gun violence. Fortunately, this is not a gun violence story, but it is a violent story because it was a stabbing and one of the teens ended up losing her life. So let's get into it. Straight out of Columbus, Ohio. Tears and enmity flowed during a tense sentencing hearing where a woman who killed a 17-year-old girl received a 3-year sentence with the possibility of early release. Family members of Halia Culbertson, the deceased, clearly felt the punishment was incommensurate with the crime, but the at most 36 months in prison metered out to 20-year-old Bryanna Barozzini was the most the law in Ohio allows after the court signed off on a plea deal for admitting guilt to one charge of involuntary manslaughter last month. So follow me. Halia is the one who got stabbed and died. Never got another birthday or Christmas or Thanksgiving. No more holidays, her friend Mackenzie Adrian said, crying all the while. But her killer got to spend every holiday last year since Halia was killed, freely and with her family, when Halia's family, her whole family, never gets another day. She's forever 17, and it lives in our minds forever. So this is what happened. On the night of March 25th, 2023, Barozzini admittedly swung a knife at the victim during an altercation outside of a smoke shop in a far northeastern neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. Halia was rushed to a nearby hospital but succumbed from a lone stab wound soon after that. The incident occurred at 161 Carryout, a convenience store and tobacco shop. The argument began inside and then spilled out into the parking lot, according to witnesses and surveillance video. In this video, when these young ladies met at the smoke shop and were arguing and they stepped outside, even their friends, there was a couple of friends there, were videotaping it. These young people love to videotape arguments and fights and debauchery. Our young folks today are a little bit different than back in the day, and we hold some of the blame for it. Because you can even hear this young man holding a cell phone, videotaping the argument and telling another guy to let his sister go so they could fight, or he was going to get in the middle of it and fight the other guy. So there were multiple people there at this incident. The younger girl died at 12:24 a.m. the following day at the Ohio Health Riverside Medical Center. Barozzini was later found at her home in the Columbus suburb of Westerville. Initially charged with murder in the first degree, prosecutors surprisingly dropped that count in favor of a manslaughter charge in early June. The state was prepared to go to trial on that lesser homicide charge, but accepted the involuntary manslaughter plea just hours later, the day before Barozzini's trial was slated to begin. It feels like a betrayal of my daughter's memory and the justice she was promised, Culbertson's mother, Halia Culbertson, said in comments reported by the Columbus Dispatch. She wished my daughter to hell, is what the mother said. She was clearly mad, swore on her whole family her intent. So how does she end up in the same place at the same time? The state seemed attuned to a recent defense filing in which Halia is painted as the aggressor in the fight. Now they're saying this because, according to text messages, Halia was saying she was going to beat the young lady up, and that when they ran into each other. But also in the text messages, Bryanna had said that she was going to stab the young lady to death, which is what actually happened. So then there is this chasm. Was it premeditation? Also, Bryanna, based on the job she had, she was able to, she uses a knife as part of her employment. So her defense was that she carries this particular knife, folding knife or whatever, all the time because she works with it. So the defense was she didn't have any intent to stab her. She has a knife on her all the time. In a sentencing memo, Barozzini's attorney described efforts by his client to retreat for quite some time, albeit unsuccessful. So when they go outside, when you see the video, they're saying that Barozzini, Bryanna, was trying not to fight the young lady, but Halia was the aggressor. So after being removed, she waited for Bryanna to exit the store. Halia did. She confronted Bryanna, threatening her, pushing her, and finally striking her. So Halia supposedly hit her, according to the video surveillance. Although Bryanna repeatedly backed away and said she did not wish to fight, Ms. Culbertson continued in her aggressive actions. At one point during the dispute, Halia slapped Barozzini in the face, prosecutors admitted last month. Then the blade was swung. It connected with the victim's neck, according to the defense. The soon-to-be deceased girl continued attacking her unwilling killer even after she was stabbed, and not noticing that she was bleeding. Barozzini received little sympathy on Thursday. Nothing has scarred me so badly as losing Halia, the victim's sister, Kaylin Culbertson, said in court. How can someone be so cruel? How can someone be so vicious? Someone who was supposed to be my sister's best friend killed her and left her to bleed out. The condemned woman briefly spoke, quietly and tensely, telegraphing understanding and sadness about what happened. Barozzini said, "I will be living with this guilt the rest of my life." Those expressions of contrition likely fell on deaf ears. If anyone ever asked me what kind of people or how I would describe the Barozzinis, I'd say I can't trust them as far as I can throw them, Adrian continued. That is the sister of the victim. Through tears as the object of that disdain looked down at the floor. She said, "I wish this wasn't what I was doing, reading a statement. I wish I was reading a speech at my sister's wedding, seeing her raise kids, getting her nursing degree she always wanted, or even living and talking to her when we get old in a nursing home." So that was from Halia's sister in the statement. So these families knew each other. And these dynamics play out all the time. I was married, raised 3 kids. Children get into altercations all the time. But the real dichotomy and the hypocrisy is many times that the worst kinds of fights and arguments are the ones of people that are closest to you, because you have an emotional connection. So that's family members, that's cousins, that's brothers, sisters, best friends that you all have spent intimate time spending the night at each other's houses, going on trips, doing things at school. So when you have a falling out, it raises the temperature, the emotional disconnect or connection with each other. So you can see where tempers can fly. And then, of course, with young ladies, our teenage guys, people have disagreements all the time. But the sad commentary in this story is that it should not have led to death. You had other friends around there. I don't understand in today's time why kids are advocating and pushing the limit for fighting each other and recording it like it's some form of entertainment, as opposed to suppressing, understanding conflict mediation, understanding how to disagree but to agree, understanding that violence is not the answer. In today's time, statistically, homicide is the third leading cause of death for young people between the ages of 10 to 24. And primarily that's by gun violence. However, this case has to deal with a stabbing. So when you look at this entire chasm, you had two teens, best friends, they're going back and forth on a disagreement via social media, via text. Tempers are high. They're in a medium-sized town where they can't hide from each other. They're going to run into each other, and now they have to back those words up. I don't think either one of them really wanted to fight each other. I think peer pressure played a big part in this particular situation. But I think this story is very important to talk about and for us to talk to our children, our grandchildren, on how to resolve conflict without it leading to violence or death. We have reached this point in society today where we have lost all of our humanity. We don't see one human being and the life and soul of another. We have reached a point where it's take that person out by any means necessary, and I will deal with the consequences afterwards. And it is unfortunate. Halia was 17 at the time, lost her life. Bryanna was 18 at the time, and now her life will be changed forever. She ended up taking a plea deal in Ohio for 3 years prison sentence for manslaughter. What do you think about that for my viewers? Tell me what you think. These two get into a fight. It sounds like Bryanna did not want to fight and that Halia was the slight aggressor and had even assaulted Bryanna, and then Bryanna takes out a knife and stabs her in the neck. I don't believe that it was necessarily intentional. I think Bryanna was scared, and it led to just an unfortunate circumstance. Tell me what you think. Do you think that Bryanna should have been charged with first-degree murder by having the knife? They said that she had it on her all the time because she used it for work. Or was the appropriate call by the Ohio State Court to allow her to plead to a 3-year manslaughter conviction and sentence while Halia's life is over? Her sentence was to death. Very unfortunate circumstance. Our young people are fighting each and every day. I did a story a while back where the two teens at Hazelwood East High School in North County, St. Louis, got into a fight. They were around the same age. There was a racial dynamic with a black girl, white girl, and the white girl unfortunately got injured, and it was a big uproar. We got to figure out a different way to resolve our problems, whether we're young and or old. This is a very unfortunate story. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way. Was the 3-year manslaughter prison sentence appropriate for Bryanna Barozzini for stabbing her ex-best friend in the neck during a fight?